Old Testament survey, lesson number 10. And look at Daniel chapter number 2. It'll take you a minute to find the book of Daniel. Book of Daniel in the Old Testament. And we'll look at this prophecy that will carry us the rest of the way through. The book of Daniel. Now, let me give you, let's see, I tell you what, can y'all abbreviate the book of the Bible if I tell you? All right. Psalms, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, Song of Solomon. Psalms, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, Song of Solomon were all written under David and Solomon, these two kings. Psalm. Remember, David wrote Psalm 23. Okay, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, Song of Solomon, between those two kings. Now, let me give you these. I'm fixing to give you some books of the Bible that are before captivity. I'm fixing to give you books before captivity. There's going to be 4 books during the captivity, and then there's 3 or 4 post-captivity. This helps you when you read your Bible. Here's pre-captivity. Before they go into captivity, Isaiah, Hosea, Joel, Amos, Obadiah, Jonah, Micah, Nahum, 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 Habakkuk, and Zephaniah. I'll give them to you again. Before they go into the captivity, you have Isaiah, Hosea, Joel, Amos, Obadiah, Jonah, Micah, Nahum, Habakkuk, and Zephaniah. Those books were written pre-captivity. And most of them you'll see right here. I didn't write all of them up here, but most of them you'll see up in this area. And then this little dip during the captivity. Jeremiah, Lamentations, Ezekiel, and Daniel. They're written up here. Jeremiah, Lamentations, Ezekiel, Daniel. Those 4 written during the captivity. In other words, Daniel was writing to his people during the Babylonian captivity. Ezekiel, Lamentation, Jeremiah, all 4 of those during the captivity. All right, and then after the captivity is Haggai. The last 3 books of the Bible. Haggai, Zechariah, Malachi. Those are the last 3 books of the Bible. Haggai, Zechariah, Malachi. Last 3 books of the Old Testament. Excuse me. I might have said Bible. After Malachi, you got 400 years between the Old Testament and the New Testament. 400 years before the birth of Christ. So in between Malachi and Matthew, you got 400, what they call the silent years. Now, find the book of Daniel. Daniel chapter 2. Daniel is interpreting a vision that Nebuchadnezzar has. Nebuchadnezzar is a Babylonian king. And I tell you what, is it okay if I turn these lights out for the front rows and stuff? You've got the image already there on your paper. And I'm going to read, and I'll show you. Look at verse 31. Chapter 2, 31. Thou, O king, sawest, and behold, a great image. This great image, whose brightness was excellent, stood before thee. The form thereof was terrible. This image's head was of fine gold, his breast and his arms of silver, his belly and his thighs of brass, his legs of iron, his feet part iron and part clay. Y'all see that? Look at verse 36. This is the dream. We will tell the interpretation thereof before the king. Thou, O king, art the king of kings. For the God of heaven hath given thee a kingdom, power, and strength, and glory. And wheresoever the children of men dwell, the beasts of the field, and the fowls of the heaven have he given in thy hand, and hath made thee ruler over them all. Thou art this head of gold. Who's he talking about? Nebuchadnezzar. Verse 39. And after thee shall arise another kingdom inferior to thee, and another third kingdom of brass, which shall bear rule over all the earth. And the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron, for as much as iron breaketh in pieces and subdueth all things, and as iron that breaketh all these, shall it break in pieces and bruise. And whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided. But there shall be in it of the strength of iron, for as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay. And as the toes of the feet were part iron, part clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, thou shalt mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. Okay. Now, you read all of that and you say, what in the world does that mean? Okay. This image pictures when the nation of Israel goes into captivity. They start out Babylonian captivity. Babylonian captivity is the head of gold. That is, Daniel said, Nebuchadnezzar, you are the head of gold. Notice the gold. That's Nebuchadnezzar. That's Babylon. That's when the nation of Israel, I tell you what you could do if you wanted to, in your mind. That image right there, if you could lay him down like he was laying down. You see this dip? The dip would be his head. The dip would be his head. And then he goes down and his feet, let's see, his feet actually break off his legs, let's see. Got two legs, and then on the end of those two legs is 10 toes. Now that's a poor excuse of a drawing. But if you'll lay him down, the nation of Israel goes into Babylonian captivity. Well, the next kingdom that takes over and whips Babylon is the Medes and the Persians. And the Medes and the Persians is silver. Notice, the further you come down, the weaker the metal. Babylon, strong, gold. You got silver. Then you got what? Was it brass? Then you got silver. Iron, excuse me. And then toes, part iron, part clay. All of that means something. Now, after Babylon, the Medes and the Persians take over. And Then after that, let's see. You got Nebuchadnezzar. The Medes and the Persians is King Darius. And then Greece. That's Alexander the Great. After Greece, Rome takes over. The two legs, Rome divides. Eastern Division, Western Division. You have Greek Orthodox and you have Roman Catholic. Both. You have the Greek Orthodox Church. They split. Rome split in two. During the time of Christ, when he was born, who was in power? Rome. I'll help you. Rome. The two legs. During the time of Christ. And then there's a sort of a break right here. Because the Roman Empire failed. This thing will pick back up at the tribulation. Rome will, Mystery Babylon will take over. And the legs are of iron. Rome. Then it goes down to the 10 toes. You say, what in the world is the 10 toes? Okay. The 10 toes are the 10 federated nations, confederated nations of, okay, let me show you. Let me look. Revelation. Revelation. Take a minute to find it. I'm looking for the 7 heads and 10 horns. Okay. Revelation 17. Revelation 17. Revelation 17, verse number 3. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sitting upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. Those 10 horns, the 10 horns are the same as those 10 toes. The tribulation takes place. There's 10 confederated nations that were joined together. We have what we call the United Nations right now. Well, what's going to happen in the tribulation? These 10 toes, this image, that image is going to rise up. It's called the Antichrist. And the 10 toes, part iron, part clay. Very, very weak. And those 10 toes will rise up and rule the whole Middle East. Who are these 10 countries? I don't know. Don't have any idea. I don't know who they are. You can bet Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, all those. You can bet all of that. They're all going to be part of the 10 toes. These 10 toes are connected to the image. They're connected to the Antichrist. They're going to rule the whole world. But here's something that's going to happen. We've already turned from the book of Daniel. We won't have to turn to it again. But in chapter number 2, on your sheet, in chapter number 2, there's a stone that shoots out of the mountain. It comes down and hits that image in the feet. The stone that shoots out of the mountain is Jesus Christ, the second coming. When he comes down out of the second coming, he's going to be like a stone shoot out of the mountain. And he's going to hit that image in the feet. When he hits that image in the feet, it's going to knock the whole thing down. And the whole Roman Empire is going to come crashing down. And Jesus Christ will ride off into the kingdom and rule and reign for 1,000 years with a rod of iron. And that's how the whole thing is going to end. But it starts with this, this image that you've got a picture of. The Babylonians and the Medes and the Persians and the Greeks and then Rome. The 10 toes, like I said, I don't know who actually they're going to be. But every nation over there that's against the nation of Israel, you can mark her down. They're probably going to be part of it. And this is the way it's going to wind up. the book of Revelation, Daniel is so connected with the book of Revelation, it's not even funny. And this image, let me show you this. Let me show you something else. No, I ain't got time to show you that. I will show you. Look at Revelation 17. You're already there. Look at verse 5. And upon her forehead was a name written, all capital letters, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. It's 13 words, 65 letters. 5 times 13, 65. 13, rebellion, Mystery Babylon. Look at verse 8. The beast that thou sawest was, and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit and go into perdition. Y'all see that? Now, who in the world could that be? He was, and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit and go into perdition. Who in the world could that be? All right, think about this. Jesus had 12 disciples, right? One of them was Judas, and the Bible calls him the son of perdition. How do we know who was going to betray? Because Jesus said, whoever I dip this sop and give to. Remember, Lord's Supper table? He says, I'll dip this sop, S-O-P, sop, S-O-P, sop, son of perdition. And he gave it to who? Judas. The beast that thou sawest was. Judas was. Right now he is not. Where did Judas go when he died? Hung himself, went to his own place. Judas walked this earth and was. He went to his own place. He is not. And shall ascend out of the bottomless pit and go into what? Perdition. Isn't that odd? Son of perdition. Well, look at, now that, if that don't blow your mind, look at the rest of the verse in verse 8. The beast that thou sawest was, and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit and go into perdition. They that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was, and is not, and yet is. You see that? Who else could that be? Was, and is not, and shall be. Anyway, I ain't got time for that. But isn't that odd? You say that Judas Iscariot. Well, the Antichrist is going to be 3 different people. The Antichrist is, okay, God is a Trinity. You've got God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Ghost. That's called the Trinity. The Antichrist is what we call the unholy Trinity, which is the beast, the false prophet, and the dragon. The beast is the political leader. The false prophet is the religious leader. This is the dragon. Here's your governmental leader. Somebody's going to stand up and say, I can bring peace to the Middle East. You got your false prophet, which is your religious leader. And both of those get power from the dragon, which is Satan. Whoever this is, earthly person, whoever this is, whoever this person is. And it's not going to be, I can promise you, it's probably not going to be anybody from America. And we have fun. We say, well, I wonder who the Antichrist is going to be. Well, it's not. It's going to be somebody from the Middle East. Just watch. Judas was an Assyrian Jew. Whoever this guy is, Judas, the beast which I saw was, and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit and go into perdition. The spirit of Judas will enter from the bottomless pit and enter this governmental leader. And the false prophet, they'll join together and they get their power from the dragon, and you have the unholy trinity called the Antichrist. That's powered by the 10 toes of that image. That's what's coming. And you might as well get ready for it, because it's coming whether you like it or not. And so anyway. And that pretty well, after your captivity, after the Babylonian captivity, you have those 3 books that I told you about that were written after the captivity. You have 400 years before the birth of Christ, and now you got Matthew started. And so next week we'll start a New Testament survey, which I promise is a whole lot more interesting than Old Testament. I'll have to be honest with you. I don't care much for all that Old Testament too much. All right, that concludes Old Testament survey.